Hey guys, before we get started in the meat of the video, I want to do a quick update to the channel and all that. If you don't want to hear it and you just want to skip to the meat of the video, I'll put a comment down below and you'll be able to click the timestamp or whatever and skip ahead to when I start talking about Generator X. Anyways, so first off, I got a new microphone. Do you guys like it? I don't know if it's all that great or not, so eh. Time to finally make a video with it. I got it a few days ago. Anyways, um, yeah. So why has videos slowed down? Why was there not a podcast last night? Why? Well, my problem is that I just get distracted by everything. When something happens, it delays me for not hours but days. Yeah, I just get distracted by a whole lot of things. Like Voltron Season 6 or 7 actually just came out. It was really good. I want to talk about that at some point. But yeah, I literally just finished watching it and now I'm recording this. And yeah, normally I do try to record these podcasts in advance and then release them on Saturday at 10 a.m. Right now it is Saturday and it's almost 7 a.m. So I stayed up all night watching Voltron. So yeah, hopefully I can just learn how to stop being distracted by other things all the time so I can make more videos. But at the same time, I have to live life beyond these videos. I can't let creating videos all the time consume me either. But yeah, so that's why there wasn't a podcast last week, just because I got distracted by other things. And also, like, if you're wondering why I don't have a co-host, it's just simply because scheduling stuff. Like, every time when I feel like recording, he does it, and every time he feels like recording, I don't. Well, I shouldn't say feel. He also just simply has family problems and all that he takes care of. And yeah, and I won't say his name until I get him onto a video. Anyway, yeah, nothing serious as far as I know. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I got a new microphone. I hope I can make more videos other than just these podcasts. I hope I can just continue to make these podcasts to begin with because I keep missing these weeks. So yeah, I just need to keep my attention onto something uh, other than just watching anime and all that. Yeah, like I've been trying to force myself to cut off the anime to make more videos, and that hasn't really helped me make more videos. So, yeah, maybe I should spend more time watching anime because it's not like watching anime like changes things. Like when I'm watching anime, I don't spend time working on videos. When I don't watch anime, I also don't spend time working on videos. So that's me right now. And yeah, hopefully I don't peak this audio too much. This new microphone is really weird. Like my last microphone was not fancy at all. This one's fancy smanchy, and it's hard to figure out how to use it. I'm not an audio engineer at all. I don't know anything about doing this, but I'm doing it anyway to figure it out. Yeah. Anyway, I think I've said enough stuff. Oh, wait, the Teen Titans video. I recorded that. I recorded the part 2 of the Teen Titans video like 2 weeks ago. I think maybe even 3 weeks ago now. Yeah, I just keep getting distracted, and I have not sat down, listened to it, or edited at all. Getting distracted is the reason why I never finished the Benton Alien Force review. I have not worked on that for like 2 or 3 months, I don't think. And yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I just get distracted a whole lot. That's my problem. I just get distracted by things that are meaningless. And yeah, like with Netflix, I was just holding on to The Dark Knight for most of this year, probably. I've just had that Netflix disc at home, and it wasn't until like last week I finally watched it. And now I got really frustrated when I turned on Netflix to watch Voltron, and all of a sudden it's been added to watch instantly. So yeah, that was infuriating, to say the least. Anyway, so yeah, I'm sure none of you guys really care that all that much, which is why I told you guys to just look for that comment in the comments below. And yeah, now I'm going to watch Generator X. So I'm going to do that now. So I just watched episode 7 of Generator X, Leader of the Pack. So this episode is about Van Cleis, the main villain of the show. So yeah, let's talk about Van Cleis before we really get into the plot of the episode. So I'm sure I've talked about this in a previous video before, but Van Cleis really is Magneto. It's just, yeah. Magneto is all about freeing the mutants, and Van Cleis is all about freeing the Evos. And yeah, this episode is kind of interesting because we get to learn some more about his character and all that, which we haven't seen very much at this point in the show until now. Since I've seen the show before and I know all about Van Cleis, this episode is just okay on rewatch value. It's just like, yeah, we learn more about him. We learn a bit more about Cersei too, all that. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Van Cleis is an awesome villain, and yeah, he's all about. He's other than just freeing Evos, he's also always really interested in Rex. I'm not sure if the show has really told us why he views Rex as special yet. I started this podcast like 2 months ago. So, yeah. I should just rewatch the first episode again. But anyway. Yeah. I say, yeah, a lot, don't I? Somebody in the comments count all the times I say, yeah. Anyways. And I also say anyways all the time, which I'm not sure if it's good or bad or not. So, trying to think of other words to get back into the conversation. So, Rex. We all know he's special to Van Cleis and all that. And at the very end of this episode, we learn that Van Cleis knew Rex's parents. We learn that he knew about them, and at one point, when Rex was ruining all Van Cleis's plans, he was talking about how he does view Rex as being special, but he was also very frustrated that he got in the way of his plans, so it looked like he was trying to, finish him off. Which, yeah, I'm not sure if he would have actually killed Rex during that moment or not, but he lost all of his power at that moment, so he couldn't. And yeah, and also but we also learned that he's basically just using Cersei to get to Rex. Because we know from episode 3, Rex likes Cersei, and Van Cleis was wondering, like, okay, Cersei sees what I'm trying to do. Why can't you, Rex? And yes, so Van Cleis is really just using Cersei to get to Rex. What will happen if, he no longer needed Rex? I'm sure he would get rid of Cersei. That's all she's useful for him for, and I guess also because of her calling powers to call Evos. Anyway, so yeah. Yeah, and of course, like Cersei does truly believe that Van Cleis is a good guy, and Rex should join the pack with her. But yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Yeah. At one point in this episode, White Knight perfectly described her Rex. And yeah, it was great. I'm trying to remember what he said though, is the problem right now. Uh, anyway, so the plot of this episode, Van Cleis flies over to, I believe it's the United States. We don't really know, honestly. And he comes here for negotiations with like all the world's leaders because he is the leader of his own country of Abyssus. So he has a little bit of diplomatic immunity. Also, like Doctor Doom, another Marvel villain. And yeah, so at this point in the episode, Providence is not allowed to touch or hurt Van Cleis because Van Cleis is, he has immunity. But of course, at the end of the episode, he tries to kill everyone because he's crazy. And yeah. So then Van Cleis throws a party before he decides to make a speech to the world, which involves him attacking the world. And he invites Rex to his party. But of course, like White Knight doesn't want Rex to go, so he was planning to send Agent 6 and Dr. Holiday there. But Rex decided to lock Agent 6 in his room. Somehow. I guess he used his powers to lock his door. And he also took his fancy green suit to the party. And yeah. So Rex goes to the party. He talks a little bit to Van Cleis, and then he sees Cersei. He runs off, and then he gets knocked out and thrown into a prison cell. Then Bobo tries to rescue him, and then Bobo ends up getting thrown into that same cell, and then Rex frees both of them. And we get some fun shenanigans. And yeah. Then the breaks out of the room and goes down an elevator underground and finds out that they're transporting soil from Abyssus to this land. And why are they doing that? Well, Van Cleis's powers rely on the nanite-infused soil of Abyssus in order to work. So he can't use his powers without that soil. So they were planting the soil throughout the city. And after they discover this, then of course Van Cleis makes a speech to the world, and he starts attacking because he believes in order to free all Evos, he has to do it by force instead of negotiations, because we can't have peace without tyranny conquering. I get the feeling that Van Cleis is an old-fashioned dictator. And yeah. And how are they also transporting the soil? Like one of Van Cleis's Evos is, I think her name was Breach, and she has teleportation powers, so she can open up portals. And yeah, I'm sure I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but yeah, she's a cool character that we learn more about as the show goes on. Anyway, so yeah, she doesn't really do anything in the episode other than just opening up the portals for the transportation of the soil. Like, even at the end of the episode, Van Cleis just makes his escape by flying on an random Evo, and yeah, instead of through the portals. I don't know why. But yeah, this is a okay episode. There's not much to it beyond just what I've said already. Yeah. We also do get some more hints that Dr. Holiday loves Agent 6. Doesn't really matter, but I like how the show kept it so subtle that you don't notice it when you're a kid. You just don't notice it at all. It just goes way over your head. So yeah, I like that stuff in the show. Anyway, so yeah, that's really all I have to say about this episode. Just It's just an episode. Hopefully the next episode will give me even more material. Hey, so you know how I was just talking about how we learn more about Breach throughout the show? Yeah, this episode's about her. In fact, this episode's called Breach. This is all about Breach. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so in this episode, we learned that Breach just simply likes to take things, put it inside her own little pocket dimension, and she likes to do whatever she wants to. She doesn't always work with Van Kleiss. And yet, she's also very fragile. So whenever Rex starts breaking the stuff in her place, then she gets angry. But at the same time, she wants Rex for some reason. She really likes Rex. So it's not until Breach starts breaking apart that a portal breaks open. So yeah, Breach never freed Rex, even though that was the plan to make her want to free Rex, but she never wanted to. Instead, she broke open a portal at the very end of the episode. Anyway, so yeah, this episode's just weird. So yeah, this episode takes place inside of a floating city within the pocket dimension. A city that she stole a few years ago, and it's just floating around inside this void of nothingness. And she puts all of her favorite stuff in this dimension. And whenever it breaks, she gets angry. And she also likes putting random Evos inside this dimension to watch fight. And she also had a caretaker Evo in there as well that took care of the place. However, Rex shows up and Breach planned to replace her with Rex. And of course, she gets angry and tries to kill Rex. I don't think they ever even said her name. She's nameless. Anyway. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see her be cured. And yeah. So throughout most of this episode, that Evo was completely emotionless until she got angry at Rex at the ending. But at one point, we randomly saw this one shot where she was terrified by another Evo when shouldn't supposed to be. So that was a mistake the people made in the show. The show's not absolutely perfect, I guess. Mistakes happen like that. But yeah, kind of similarly, there was a mistake made in a recent Steven Universe episode where, this one villain showed up that had the power to make people cry, but only gems could cry in that Steven Universe episode. However, we randomly saw one shot of Connie crying when she's not supposed to be affected by it. And they later established in the next episode, yeah, she was not supposed to be affected. She's not affected. But we still saw, one random shot where she was. So, yeah, mistakes can be made in cartoons. Who knew? Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, this episode is more interesting, more fun to talk about than the previous episode. I really like how much we got to see Dr. Holiday being awesome. Like at one point, Breach randomly sent free Evos into the Providence room that she's being captured and held in. She's being interrogated by Dr. Holiday throughout the whole episode. And at one point, whenever those free Evos randomly showed up, like one of them attacked like Dr. Holiday, and she dodged it, and she didn't even flinch. So yeah, Dr. Holiday is cool. And yeah, she just uses a trapdoor to get rid of those Evos. Where did they go? I don't know, probably the petting zoo. And yeah, this episode's cool. Yeah, not much more to really say about this episode though. Like, you can dissect it scene by scene, I guess, trying to find more meaning into all of it, but yeah, this episode is just about how fragile people can be and how, like, you just do one thing and it just tears them apart. At the end of this episode, Breach explodes, but she's still alive. She appears in later episodes, and they're wondering, like, is she dead? Nah, we're not sure. Yeah, she's not dead. And I'm pretty sure they revealed that she's not dead at the beginning of the next episode. And yeah, I honestly have less to say about this episode than the previous one. This was a better episode, but I just got nothing to say about it. So yeah, I guess I'll, for once, review 3 episodes in a podcast for once instead of just 2. So yeah, I guess I'll watch the next episode now. Alright, I just watched episode 9, The Dark Passage. Yeah, that's what it's called. Okay. Dark Passage. Alright. So yeah, this is a big episode. And yeah, it's a great way to end off an episode of the podcast with an episode that furthers the story of the show, explores more of the mystery, adds in more questions than answers though. But yeah, is a really good episode. And yeah, first off, let's talk about how the main villain of the show, Van Kleist, dies in this episode. Yeah, what a way to make a statement. And I remember after this episode aired, there was a long period of time between this episode and the next one. So yeah, quite a way to end off with a cliffhanger in between batches of episodes. Season 1's still not over yet. Well, debatably it's not over yet. Anyway, so yeah, this episode does a lot. It's a big episode. So yeah. Oh. So let's actually start at the beginning of the episode now. So we're at this one office building, and this one businessman gets a message, a tape recorded message with with nanites attached to it. And after hearing the message, then the guy got sprayed with some more of that nanite gas that we kind of saw in the episode where Rex offloaded all of his nanites. And yeah, so this guy gets sprayed by the nanite gas. He turns into an Evo, but not too many nanites, so he does turn back to normal before Rex even gets the chance to cure him. And yeah, why does he get sprayed and turn into an Evo? Well, it's because he actually helped funded the nanite event. So this one guy who helped create it, he wants more funding to help fix everything to save the world. But the businessman who helped fund the nanite event didn't want to do that. He doesn't want any part of it. I'm assuming he doesn't want the world to know that he was involved. And there are many more business people involved that we don't get to see in the episode. And yeah. So the evil doctor that sent him a message just wants them to just wants to make a statement to show people why it's important to help fund the cure because they were responsible for the nanite event. So yeah, you gotta help fix your mess, but they don't want to do it. So yeah, kind of twisted. And yeah, not really sure how Yeah, okay, the guy who's doing this is named Dr. Rylander. For some reason, I was not wanting to say it, but yeah, I don't know. Dr. Rylander just somehow sends all these messages to people, even though he's in the middle of a jungle inside of his laboratory that doesn't look like he's left in ages. So how does he put these on the desk of the business partners? I don't know. It's not important. Don't think about it. Anyway, so yeah, they go after this guy after he. They go after the guy who went Evo. After he got turned back into normal, he was acting a little crazy, and he walks into the middle of the street where cars are passing, and the camera turns away, and we don't see him again. So maybe he was hit by a car. We're not sure. Then later in a later scene, Dr. Holiday talks about how the person that they got that also was turned into an Evo was too far gone crazy to answer any of their questions. So, yeah, like we know that multiple people had this happen to them, so I'm assuming it probably was another person that got interrogated, but who knows? Maybe that guy died, maybe he didn't. I don't know. Anyways, so after Providence did some Google searching on Dr. Rylander, and then they discover his base in the jungle, and then they go to the jungle on a boat, and Bobo's complaining about the jungle because he's a monkey and he doesn't like the jungle for some reason. Never forget! I don't know where they were going with that joke. It's just, yeah. And, yeah. This boat, though, that they're riding on doesn't last for very long because then piranhas, evos with wings and bug legs then start attacking the boat, and we see one guy getting eaten by these things. So yeah, a lot of people died in this episode. The kill count for this episode is pretty high. Anyway, so yeah, they're being attacked by the boat. The boat gets sunk, and Rex has to save everyone once again. And yeah, and the whole crew is out on this mission, going to the lab, including Dr. Holiday, and we get to see more of Dr. Holiday being really cool and awesome in this episode. I love it. Yeah. And of course, we also see Bobo and Six kicking butt against not just the robots that are guarding this place. It's also being guarded by robots and wild evos, but also Van Clyce shows up and tries to attack this lab too. And he's got a new member of the pack who's doing excellent until he accidentally cuts off Van Clyce's food supply, and then he becomes food for Van Clyce. So yeah, that guy is totally dead. That new member of the pack that we saw for like 5 seconds, totally dead. He's definitely not coming back from another episode. Nope. He's definitely not coming back from the dead ever. He just gets turned into a statue and remains a statue for the rest of time. Totally not coming back in a future episode. Definitely not. Nope. I'm totally not hinting towards a future episode with him. Nope, he's totally dead. And we even see Beowulf push him after he got turned into stone, so I'm assuming he might have shattered Might have, might not have. Anyway, so yeah, that guy I guess was kind of cool. Yeah. Again, we don't get to see a whole lot of him because he immediately makes Van Cleis angry, and Van Cleis gets rid of him. And yeah, uh, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, they fight the robots and all of that jazz. And there's a gif of Rex blowing up a robot during this scene that for some reason is used all the time on Kuro the artist's Discord server. Don't know why. That gif doesn't really make any sense. Anyway, yeah. I don't know why I always laugh whenever I start recording for too long. I'm clearly just going mad and crazy. Anyway, yeah, so they find Dr. Whitelander's lab, which was being protected by a shield and a cloaking device, and of course they undo all of that. Eventually, Providence starts to get kind of angry about him, so they eventually start bombing the place, even though Rex is inside at that point when they're bombing it. And yeah, and of course, Van Cleis also shows up at the same time, so the rest of the gang tries to fight him off while Rex heads inside. But unfortunately, Van Cleis sneaks inside anyway. Anyway, so then Rex meets Dr. Wylander. Rex fights some more of his robots before he recognizes him. And as soon as he recognizes Rex is like, "Oh, you know my name? Of course I did. I gave that name to you." Yeah, he's not his dad. What a perfect way to set up the commercial break. And then, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not the one. I'm not him. I'm not your dad. Sorry, but I still give you your name, so am I cool? And then he starts going on about the nanite event and all that. He's like, you have to understand. We're trying to help people. We're trying to get rid of disease and all that jazz. And Rex, he doesn't really care about what he has to say about the nanite event. He just wants to know more about his family and all that. And eventually, he's like, okay, um, I'm sorry. I've just been caught up with all of my research. I hadn't stopped to consider how you might have been feeling about this. You see, Rex, the truth is, and then gets stabbed by Van Cleis right behind him. And Van Cleis is like, the truth. If you want to know the truth, Rex, you have to talk to me. I'm not going to allow you to hear from this guy. I'm the only person who knows the truth. And yeah, before all of that, though, he does talk about the event quite a bit. We get to learn some details, like the batch that was released to the world was the Bad Batch, and Rex's batch of nanites were created before them, and they were the good ones. Unfortunately, the Bad Batch was not good nanites. They were unfinished. I believe he said they were unfinished. I don't know. The point is, they were bad. But they got released to the world anyways. And of course, they didn't care. We get a name drop of they, them. Who is he referring to? Wait until like the second or third season of the show to find out. And yet, he does say some things that I think the show may or may not contradict later. But yeah, like he says, if it wasn't for Rex's powers, which was like a side effect, like they were trying to save Rex's life with the first batch of nanites, but there was a side effect that, which was his powers to being able to create all the machines. Which, yeah, some of the things he says about Rex, I do think the show may contradict later, may be wrong. but uh, I'm not sure. Everything he says could be 100% legit canon. Some of it might be contradicted later and retconned out in later episodes. I don't really remember. But he does say, like, during the nanite event, Rex's nanites, like, saved his brother, who we, again, later see. And the way he survived the nanite events that I remember didn't involve Rex, but I could be misremembering everything. Who knows? But yeah, Dr. Rylander, though, eventually gets knocked out by Van Kleist. And, of course, Rex then starts to fight Van Kleist. I'm not sure if Van Kleist really said anything really remotely interesting. Like, okay, one thing he said that was interesting. He looks like Van Kleist said to Dr. Rylander, he looks forward to continuing the research, but alone. So yeah, I assume if it wasn't for Providence bombing this place, that Van Kleist would have secured it and used the laboratory to maybe create even more Revos, maybe activate all nanites in the world. We don't really know, because then he dies. Both Dr. Rylander and Van Kleist get sucked up into the nanite reactor in Dr. Rylander's lab, and then the reactor implodes, making a huge explosion, and we see everybody running away because the lab's about to explode. And like Salamander and Beowulf are wondering, like, why are they running? And then the explosion happens. Were they caught in that explosion? I don't know. Did they survive it? Yes, they did. But were they? Did they survive it without a scratch? I don't know. And yeah, the episode ends with them flying away. Dr. Holiday's depressed, thinking we accomplished nothing. But then Rex tells her that he found out he had a brother. And I forgot to say this one thing that Dr. Rylander also did. He injected Rex with something special that he called the truth. And it was another nanite. He injected another nanite into Rex. And the episode ends with us seeing that new nanite inside of Rex's body. I know what this nanite is called. I'm trying not to say it really badly because spoilers. Hard thing to do when you're revisiting the show is not spoil everything to new viewers, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure that nobody watching this podcast has not seen this show before. I'm sure everybody watching this podcast is a big fan of the show, but I still want to try to avoid some spoilers. I don't know. This is a great episode. Watch the show, guys. Watch Generator X. Alright, this is the end of the podcast. What will the future of this channel be? I'm not sure. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a bright one. Just like how Rex's future after this episode looks very bright. Alright, guys. Bye.